Good evening, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to our Superintendent's Awards meeting. And at this time, I'm going to turn it over to the school superintendent. We are in the Joanne Arlette Junior TEC. And I ask out of respect to everyone, please silence all electronic devices. Dr. Moore.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We do have two brief presentations, making up some time from last month's meeting. So I'll turn it over to Ms. Maddox to present.
Hi, good evening. Thank you for those of you who are here with us tonight. I know we have one person who is on her way, Dr. Moore. That is our Casual for a Cause presentation. The Casual for a Cause presentation is each month our district selects a predetermined organization to fundraise for, with the organization changing monthly on our Casual for a Cause calendar. In exchange for a small donation, students and staff are allowed to dress down on a designated day. Last month, we fundraised for Safe Families for Children of the Treasure Coast, and we're happy to have Jessie Ray, our chapter director, who I believe is on her way, here with us tonight. So if we can just flip, she said she should be here any moment. She just texted me. And go on to our second presentation, because I see that we have those attendees here. And if I could please introduce Ms. Jennifer Justice, the principal of Pelican Island Classical Magnet School, to do the next presentation.
Thank you very much. That's the first time I've been introduced as the principal of Pelican Island Classical Magnet School. So that's pretty special, and that's actually why I'm here tonight. So I am here tonight to honor an amazing young student of ours. Riley joined us at Pelican Island just last year. She and I arrived actually at the same time. But to watch her grow, to watch her knowledge, to watch her academics soar, to watch her confidence soar, has truly been an educator's dream and quite an honor for me. But for me, that's not what's most impressive about Riley. It is her quiet leadership. To say that she is painfully shy is a true definition. But to watch her be kind, to be thoughtful, compassionate, all of those things is actually what matters most, Riley. So you are an inspiration to me as an educator, because I wish I had a whole school full of Rileys. It would make my job so much easier. Not only that, but she will surely leave an impact on whatever she chooses to do in this life. She's already left an impact with us, as Riley was our student advocate who sat on the panel with us, and she put forth the motion to rename our school Pelican Island Classical Magnet School. So that's why we are honoring her here today. So I will have Riley come up and join us with her family. So Riley, this says, your voice and dedication were instrumental as you initiated the motion to rename Pelican Island Elementary School to Pelican Island Classical Magnet School. We honor your exceptional contributions and celebrate your successes. Yeah, absolutely.
What am I going to do with that plaque?
Ready? 1, 2, and 3.
Congratulations, Riley.
Congratulations, Riley. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and just in time, we're going to circle back to our Casual for a Cause presentation. Ms. Jessie Ray, who is the chapter director of Safe Families for Children of the Treasure Coast, is here tonight. And Jessie, if you would come on up, we have a donation for Safe Families for Children for $1,741.
I just want to say thank you to the school district. This is an incredible program. It's a wonderful opportunity for nonprofits just to become better known in the community. It's my kiddos, been in public school since kindergarten, and it's always a fun time, whether it's hats or socks or something fun like that. And so it's really just a great program. We really appreciate the support, and thank you so much.
That concludes presentations.
All right, this meeting is adjourned at 5:35. Good evening, everyone. Welcome. For those of you just joining us, I'd like to welcome you to the school board business meeting at the Joanne Nicolette Junior TEC. Today is Monday, March 10th, 2025, and I'd like to call this meeting to order. The time is 6 p.m. I ask that out of respect to everyone, please silence all electronic devices at this time. And also, if you have any material you wish to share with a board member, please bring that to Mrs. Moray. She's sitting right over there. She is the executive assistant for the board. All right, so we're going to call for the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led by Vero Beach High School's Air Force Junior ROTC Detachment 043 under the direction of Major Retired Dean Rasdale and Senior Master Sergeant Retired Sean Rood. Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I was told there were a lot of freshmen in that group, so good job, guys. Thank you. All right, so board members, I'm going to call for the adoption of the orders of the day. Are there any items that board members wish to move from consent to action or add to discussion? Ms. Rosario?
I'd like to move consent agenda item A, approval of extended day summer camp and before and after school fee schedule.
4A or 5A?
6A.
6A.
Consent 6A.
Okay. Okay. Anyone else?
Yes.
Yes.
I'd like to add an item and ask Mr. Green to please give us a recap of the financial report based on the third calculation that we discussed in the workshop today to make sure that everybody understands where the district is as a current place.
Do you want to add that as a discussion item, or do you want to pull that
I'd like to add it in
item?
the superintendent's area, if that's okay, if we could do it in your area? Okay?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else? All right, board members, I'm going to call for a motion to accept the orders of the day as amended.
So moved.
Second.
Dr. Posca, Dr. Jones, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Passes 5-0. Thank you. All right, we are to the superintendent's report, and I believe we're adding a budget item to that now.
I think we're going to do a proclamation first, Madam Chair. So, Ms. Maddox, the floor is yours.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for being here with us tonight. Tonight we have our proclamation for Vaping Awareness Month, which is March 2025, and I'd like to introduce Heather Holden, our Director of Student Services.
Good evening, everybody. We have invited Thrive, formerly the Substance Awareness Center, to present in order to prevent our March Vaping Awareness Proclamation. We join every year with Thrive on bringing this year the Tall Cop Says Stop presentation, Strengthening Families classes, the first annual Parent Academy, the fourth annual Family Fun Fest, and they also joined us at the Choice Fair. They've also been in several of our 4th and 5th grade classrooms teaching vaping prevention lessons. So with us tonight from Thrive, if you'll all stand up, we have Carrie Lester, who's the CEO, then Kylie Matawala, who's the Director of Data and Outcomes, Shelley Stewart, Director of Prevention Services, April Lee, who's one of their prevention specialists, and we have a student with us, Mimi Nall. So if Carrie and Mimi would please come up to read the proclamation.
Good evening. As Dr. Holden said, my name is Carrie Lester. I'm the CEO of Thrive, formerly known as the Substance Awareness Center, and I just want to thank you for having us here tonight and recognizing this proclamation addressing vaping, youth vaping. We are grateful for your leadership and support in addressing this critical issue in our community and aspect of prevention. And before I have Mimi read the proclamation, I did just want to take a brief moment to introduce you to our new mission and assure you that although we have a new name and new mission, our work remains unchanged. Our name and mission really, the new name and mission really reflect our renewed commitment to our work, and we think it better aligns with our vision and our goals for our community. And so now as Thrive, IRC, our mission is to protect and empower our community by providing resources, prevention strategies, and recovery services that address substance misuse and behavioral health, promoting long-term wellness. And so we do that by leaning into 5 mission pillars. Our first mission pillar is thought leadership. We have been in this community serving for 35 years, promoting best practices for prevention and recovery. All of our programs are licensed and accredited, assuring that we are meeting the highest standards set forth in the industry. Our next mission pillar is community awareness, prevention is awareness. We lead our Community Prevention Coalition to address risk and protective factors in our community that impact 7 problem adolescent behaviors. We also bring training, education, and resources to our community so that we can make informed decisions to keep our children and our families safe. And Dr. Holden mentioned a couple of the activities we do under our community awareness. Education is our third mission pillar. We've been in this community providing evidence-based prevention curricula to our youth over the past 2 decades at the least. And we are trained in this evidence-based curricula, we have trainers on staff, and we are committed to the prevention science to ensure we bring the best to the youth in our community. Our fourth mission pillar is early intervention and adolescent treatment. And so we provide indicated prevention services for youth who've been identified as engaging in health risk behaviors. And for those youth who are demonstrating signs and symptoms of substance use, we now provide adolescent treatment programming. And our last mission pillar is recovery with results. We offer licensed and accredited substance abuse treatment programming, peer support services, and 2 recovery homes for adults with substance use or co-occurring mental health disorders. And so with our new name, we remain committed to serving in our community. We appreciate our partnership with the school district, and we look forward to continuing to work together as a community that cares. We thank you for your time tonight, and with no further ado, Mimi Nall.
Vaping Awareness Month, March 2025, addressing youth vaping epidemic. Whereas the federal government declared youth e-cigarette use, or vaping, a nationwide epidemic, and whereas in 2024, 14.5% of high schoolers and 9.1% of middle schoolers reported trying e-cigarettes, and whereas Indian River County has made progress in reducing youth vaping through the dedication of schools and community partners, advancing youth substance use prevention. And whereas e-cigarettes are unsafe for kids, teens, and young adults. And whereas e-cigarettes typically contain nicotine, which is a highly addictive chemical, and the developing youth brain is more vulnerable to its effects, including reduced impulse control, deficits in attention and cognition, and mood disorders. And whereas e-cigarettes aerosol is not harmless, water vapor and aerosol that users breathe from e-cigarette device and exhale can contain harmful and potentially harmful substances, including cancer-causing chemicals and heavy metals such as nickel, tin, and lead. And whereas the focus of March 2025 is to get accurate information about youth and e-cigarette use into the hands of our students and parents, which is an important step to revising this alarming trend in our schools. And whereas Indian River County is committed to the goals and objectives of Vaping Awareness Month through local prevention and initiatives and public health programs. And therefore, the School Board of Indian River County, Florida, hereby proclaims March 2025 as Vaping Awareness Month.
Thank you so much for that. Okay, board members, we have a proclamation on the table. I'm going to call for a vote to approve the proclamation of March as Vaping Awareness Month. All those in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? It carries 5-0. Thank you so much for reading that.
Be specific with this group.
Now, the presentation, okay. So if we can pull up the superintendent's report. This will be a relatively brief report because there's only been 2 weeks in between our last business meeting. So we'll begin the presentation on February 25th. This is a partnership that we're doing with our own board, our own Ed Fund Board. It is a partnership where we've brought together, this is the second session, we're calling it the Indian River Leadership Institute. And we're bringing together leaders in our schools as well as leaders within Piper, leaders within each of the 2 individual banks that are on our board, and really engaging in conversation about building leaders across our entire community. This has been 2 extremely powerful sessions. The takeaway is, for us, from my perspective, is to grow awareness about who is leading our schools, the depth of who those individuals are, how well they speak, and what exceptional leaders they are, while at the same time allowing us to connect, engage, and learn from them. So we have one more session, but what we're doing in this session, this is one of the first things that we're doing right out of the gate with the Ed Board, and it's just absolutely amazing. Get More Connected was on February 25th. The highlight of that was to make sure all of our families understood that we were walking into the iReady assessments that took place all of last week, wanting to make sure that that information that the students provided to us allowed us that last little tweak so we can provide the most meaningful instruction to our students 6 weeks leading into the upcoming assessment. I had the opportunity to review some of that data today as it was coming in, and once again, I am very, very encouraged and look forward to sharing that information with the board in our next presentation. It was referenced during our workshop today, but this was the Indian River County's Children's Services Golden Impact Awards, and they wanted to acknowledge both of our high school principals for their leadership around graduation rate. We have a graduation rate of 96%, and because of the work of those 2 gentlemen in between Kelly, Ms. Basura, we're seeing great outcomes, and they represent us in absolutely outstanding ways. We got a new book, Curious George, Happy St. Patrick's Day. Will we be recording reading of that as well? Okay, all right, I'm getting in on it this time. And then National School Breakfast Week, as you can see, our schools are fully participating there, both our cafeteria staff as well as our principals. I think that's Mr. Faust, but he's dressed up every day, so I don't know what's different about that picture. Then I had the opportunity in Atlanta last week on March 4th to present around 600 people across the this side of the United States our presentation, which we've entitled Wired to Learn Fast. And Wired to Learn Fast is the response that I provide when people ask what's going on differently in Indian River County. The best thing about this presentation, I gave the opening keynote, which was during lunch. And I was up giving my presentation while everyone was having their lunch. 3 of the 500 people were there got sick. And because I was giving my presentation, I did not get sick. And no one got sick because I was the one presenting. It was definitely something in the food. But that was absolutely outstanding. A lot of great feedback on the work that we're doing. I was featured in the school transportation news, just highlighting the work that we're doing. They called and asked for pictures and some quotes, and we just had what we did for our bus drivers the first 10 days of school. So that's us right there welcoming our bus drivers back, making sure they get the much-deserved love that they need. And then last Thursday, March 6th, was the announcement for National Superintendent of the Year, and it was absolutely overwhelming. So the gentleman from Alabama is the National Superintendent, and I honestly did not realize the acknowledgement of being one of 4 finalists until I actually got there. And it was truly, truly eye-opening for me. The doors that have opened for this district for myself as a result of the collective work that we have done is truly, truly allowed me to reflect and say, wow, we are really doing something different. And if you were to look at the outcomes of this school system and the growth of this school system, it truly sets itself apart. So each of us should be extremely, extremely proud of that work. Just since leaving that event, very, very, very humbled. I was glad I got to experience it with some of my staff and my wife, who's in the middle of that picture there. So it was a great, great, great time. And then I also, while I was there, did a number of speaking events, but I did participated in a Superintendent's Unplugged, which is a podcast. We'll let you know when that's coming out. That's not actually a picture of that particular podcast, but it's the best we could find. And then the district strategic planning town hall meetings, we had 2 take place over the last several, since our last board meeting. This was actually on March 13th. And to take us home, Mr. Green will highlight some of the information that we shared during our workshop today regarding our budget and the information that we have available to us as we kick off budget season 3 months earlier than we did in previous years.
Thank you, Dr. Moore, through the chair. So today we did kick off the 25-26 budget development and approval process. Last year we started that on June 10th. This year we started it on March 10th, so 3 months earlier to the day, which was good. And we started that with a review of this year's budget because school district budgets are unique from any other budget that I know because you're funded on the students who show up. And there's no way they know who shows up last summer when they give you your budget, so that's based on projections. October, the state surveys all of the school districts around the state and say, how many kids do you have and what courses are they in and how are we going to pay you? The results of that survey get calculated into what's called a calculation of the budget, which we just received last week on March 3rd. Typically, we get that early January, so that's a little bit delayed this year. That calculation is the first time we have seen our budget changes based on actual student enrollment and course and scheduling. So that is from October, which generates half of our budget. They just surveyed us this last month in February across the state for the second half of our budget. So that will be processed, and then in May or early June, we'll get to what's called the fourth calculation, and that will show us the full budget from October to November. So today we kind of went over that FEFP, the Florida Educational Finance Program formula on how we're funded. We gave an overview of our FTE and what our enrollments look like across traditional and virtual and charter and family empowerment and all the various components of the budget. We went through the various funds and how those are broken down. And then we started talking about some of the various budget impactors that we'll have for next year, some of the typical ones that we have, raises for employees and health insurance and also enrollment and things that we just have to tackle and start budgeting for. So for the next 3 months, we'll be doing workshops and aligning that budget to the strategic plan as it's developed. And then over the summer, we'll go through an official process that's a little more formalized, where we will be having public hearings and meetings to express to the community what the millage rates on their tax forms are going to look like for next year, and all the way up until next September, when we will adopt the final budget for the 25-26 school year. So today was a day to give that overview of where we're at so far, how our funding has been affected, and how we're using that to plan for the rest of the year and to kick off the budget for next year.
How was our funding affected?
Our funding was affected, so we were adjusted overall net of nets, $2.7 million reduction to our funding in the budget, and we were down 88 FTE as a district overall. That includes family empowerment, charter, and traditional. But the vast majority of that impact was from students electing the Family Empowerment Scholarship, which we had budgeted for $14.8 million. That came in October at $16.8 million for Family Empowerment. So that additional $2 million is something that we are finding out now from October, and that's what we are working through from now till the end of the year to have a balanced budget and maintain our fund balance going into the summer.
All right, board members, any comments? Good. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Are you done, Superintendent Moore? Okay, thank you. All right, so it is time for public input. These are the guidelines for public input according to School Board Policy 0169.1. During regular business meetings of the board offers the following 2 opportunities for public input. 1, on any agenda item, consent agenda and/or action item, prior to the board taking official action on a proposition. And 2, during the public input section for items not on the agenda. For those who are watching, please understand that though we have established proper decorum and expectations of professionalism, when it comes to individuals who wish to provide public input, this is a live broadcast. Each individual speaker shall be allotted up to 3 minutes during public input and up to 3 minutes to an item on the consent agenda and/or action agenda item as indicated on the order of business as it exists at the time of the meeting, at the start of the meeting. The time period may be adjusted by the presiding officer. Individuals may only speak once about any given item. Individuals who have filled out the speaker's form are allowed to address the board. Individuals may not delegate their allotted time to speak to other individuals. If an item is moved from either the consent agenda or discussion agenda to the action agenda, individuals will have the opportunity to speak to an item prior to the vote of the board. During the meeting, please refrain from clapping or outbursts of any sort so that we can proceed with dignity and decorum by not infringing on any individual's First Amendment rights in this limited public forum setting. As board members listen to individuals without interruption, individuals are asked to give board members the same respect, please. Board members may or may not address any individual statements at the end of all public input comments. Under Section 1001.372, subsection 3, Florida statutes, the presiding officer may order the removal from a public meeting held by the district school board of any person interfering with the expeditious or orderly process of such meeting, provided such officer has first issued a warning and that continued interference with the orderly process of the meeting will result in that removal. All right. After I've read that, we are going to recognize the citizens in the order that we have received their forms, and they are time-stamped. We only have 3 tonight. I think that's a record. All right. Our first speaker is Dr. Margie Flanagan, and the next will be Liz Caldwell.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm Dr. Margie Flanagan, Chair of Education Champions, Advocates for Public Education. Last week, Margaret Murray and I were honored to tour the renovated Media Center at Vero Beach High School, and we want to take the opportunity to highlight the splendid work of the staff, students, and administrators there. First, Let me say that we hope to also tour the Media Center at Sebastian River High School. We've heard from many sources how impressive that facility is, and we can't wait to visit there soon. Initially, we stopped at Vero Bean, the student-run coffee shop inside the Media Center. It's a welcoming and well-organized spot where students prepare popular cold and frozen beverages and gain first-hand entrepreneurship experience under the skilled teaching of Ms. Addison Teskey. Any profit is used for student scholarships. The Media Center is nothing like what I pictured a high school library to be. Instead, it's designed with a mixture of group spaces and private spots for individual work. It's truly state-of-the-art, and we saw students working on laptops, reading quietly, and working on class assignments. The soon-to-be-launched first-rate eSports room will be an attractive draw. But my most lasting impression came from our talks with a student and a teacher that we had there. Unsolicited, the student told us how grateful she was for the Indian River County teachers she's had from elementary school to now. She graduates in May and hopes to enter a nursing program next fall. A teacher shared a story of one of her students who faces significant living situation challenges, who told us that for him, school is a safe place. At a time when we hear so much negative chatter, we wanted to share this positive experience with you. We know the new Media Center is just one of many excellent opportunities available in our district. Kudos to all the stellar work tackled daily to enrich our students. We want to thank Dr. Peggy Jones for arranging the visit for us, and Vero Beach High School media specialist, Ms. Sherry White, for the tour and for her enthusiasm. The Media Center showcases the district's innovative efforts in preparing our students for a productive future and spotlights public education as an essential benefit to our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Liz Caldwell is our next speaker. Thomas Kenny will be our last speaker.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Liz Caldwell. I'm a retired food service worker, and I'm a former owner of several restaurants. So I'm reading off of this, okay? So this is my first time doing this. So I would say it's safe for me to know a little bit about what goes on in a kitchen and how it's ran. I'm a representative of food service for CWA 3180, and I'm here to represent the support staff in these kitchens. We have been going through the schools. I do hope that you received the video and find the humor in some of the ladies that put that video together for some of the equipment that has been broken for a long time in these cafeterias. It's becoming very stressful for them, and this is why we're here, to see if we can work together. And I have to say that our acting president, Lori Taylor, informed me this evening that Mr. Green, they had appropriated some funds to start fixing some of this equipment. But there's a lot going on in these schools, and for these lunch ladies to come in to be happy to be there every day and do their job, and it's extremely hard on them when they don't have the equipment to work with, and short supplies of things that they need, sanitizer, broken ovens, the pass-through, garbage disposal, malfunctioning freezers, some mold going on, and it's very hard for them to come in and, you know, feel good about doing this and serving food to our children. The workers are expected to report to work and still do their job routinely as everything is working just fine. They want them to be at a speed to get this food out. It's very hard when the equipment that they're supposed to be using should be a reach-in, that they just reach in behind them. Instead, they have to stop doing on the line, go further into the kitchen to bring their food out and do that. And it's just been, this has been going on for several years, not just weeks. This equipment has been broke for a long time. So we are looking very, very forward to meeting with Mr. Green to see if we can get some of these issues resolved and this equipment fixed so these ladies can come in and do their job, and for these children to have, you know, food that is at temp, because also when the Board of Health comes in, And if that food is not up to temp, it is written up. And you all can find that through the managers and the food service director of being written up. One was written up last week for not having the food up to temp because of this equipment being broke. It's extremely, extremely important to have this equipment working and having these ladies come into work and feel like they are doing their job. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thomas Kenny?
Congratulations, Dr. Moore. You know, it's always good when I see you doing these awards things and stuff like that. Your wife's beside you. I think it's, you know, the family aspect of who you are is something that is undeniable, and it's really appreciated. And your executive team is the same. So I just want to say congratulations to that, and I appreciate what you're doing in this school system. So now I get to do all the fun stuff. Last week there was a presentation about reading scores of being 63%, fourth in the state, if I'm not mistaken, rank. We're basically where we were in 2013 when TLA started here. The schools had a 63% grade 3 and above efficiency, and the schools were ranked 31st. So there's been a lot of falling in the state. The state apparently is #1 in the country, which means the country's slipping in education. At the time, though, what's really important to understand, we had 17,199 students, and today we're at the 14,000. So it's different. That's a number that needs to come up with the grades. I don't look at this school system in terms of state ranking because 63, and I think the highest we've seen since 2013 is a 64, which was just the previous year. And by the way, during that time, it dipped all the way down to 53 by 2015 and through Rendell's tenure. A lot of you guys, none of you guys were here mostly. But all that to say, I think what's going to happen in the coming years is this school system is going to become #1, but it's going to become #1 with grades and not just rankings. And I think that's the most important thing. This school system should be shooting for #1 in the county when it comes to grades. It should beat charters. It should beat these other places that are taking your students, because that's the only way your students will come back to you, is by winning and giving great instruction that you all seem to be working towards right now. So I want to say that with much clarity, because my tax dollars, a lot of us who own homes, who don't maybe have students in the school, don't have kids, are all grown up, whatever, you know, we're still paying for this. And so it's important that this is understood and stressed, and I believe you're on your way there. Evidence in government, awards and all that stuff is fun, but evidence with the people who pay for this every day, when they start supporting you, it's going to be really good. Thank you.
Okay, before we respond to anything, I'd just like to welcome all the students that are here tonight. It's nice to see you all here for a school board meeting, so welcome. Dr. Moore, want to respond?
Very quickly, yes. Ms. Caldwell, I'm going to invite you back next month, if I'm allowed to do that, to provide an update. And as information comes to me, so disappointed. Disappointed in terms of leadership and providing the needed resources that need to be available in order to ensure everyone has what they need in order to do their jobs. So as I evaluate or problem solve is really what I'm doing. Where's that? That's where the issue lies. So I know Mr. Christofoli will be working through some of the issues. Mr. Green is just going to provide some of the money in order to fix some of those issues. Most of it would be Ms. Christofoli, but I'm looking forward to connecting over the course of the next month in order to ensure we have everything we need to have quality food. But I'm disappointed in what I've learned in regards to systems of support, and we hold ourselves accountable for support. Disappointed. I'll leave that right where that's at. Just in terms of academic performance, I mean, 47% of our schools were an A or a B 5 years ago. 95% of our schools are now an A or a B. I concur that, I said it 5 years ago, every single school in this district should be an A, and that's the pathway that we are on. And that is the clear, unwavering expectation. An A school district is nice, and will be an A always moving forward. It is not the expectation anymore. That was low-hanging fruit. Our challenge is to create meaningful instructional programs that are first and foremost safe and comfortable in order to revive our school system. So those are my remarks.
Okay, anyone else? Ms. Rosario?
Yeah, Dr. Moore, did we have a different, I don't know the title, but did we have a different president for CWA? I thought that we had a different representative. Just curious, because we usually see someone else.
So
Has leadership changed in the CWA?
So there is a change in leadership. Ms. Christofoli can probably speak to it. Joe, who's been our voted-in president for personal reasons and being available to what's most important to him, has stepped down. And now they have to go through the process of electing a new president. Liz, who spoke today, Ms. Cotwell, who spoke today, is a retired cafeteria worker, not necessarily part of the leadership. And if I'm seeing a head shaking, so that's it. But Ms. Christofoli, can you give a better response to what I just said?
Yes, so through the chair, Mr. Rubino resigned his position as president last Monday, I believe. And so per the contract, when that occurs, the vice president steps up. And so I was just speaking with them about their process, and they're going to update me when they have their new positions in place.
Okay. Because certainly no disrespect, because this issue, whatever the issues are, they have to be addressed. And I'm sure that the superintendent will get on it right away. So I do appreciate reaching out, for sure. The other thing, and again, no disrespect, but I was under the impression that union representative need to be employees. And so I'm certain that that's a conversation that the superintendent will have separately. But I'm not sure about that, and maybe that's I don't know the answer. Oh, okay, maybe that would be illegal. Just for our, I guess, purposes of knowing what the roles are? Is that something that you'll get back to us on?
We have Amy available all day tomorrow, so we will look into it and understand what you're saying. The current vice president is not an employee of the system. My understanding is that is acceptable within the CWA structure. But I don't want to misspeak, so let us research
Sure.
and provide that information back to the board.
Sure, and I do, again, appreciate you reaching out to us. It's the only way that we can address things that happen is if we know what's going on. So I appreciate that.
No, thank you, thank you.
No, I
She'll
just wanted to
speak
make
to you
a
after the
comment.
meeting if you want. Okay, thank you. Dr. Jones?
Thank you, Dr. Moore and Mr. Green, for looking into this. When we received the email, I sent it right to you. And I just know as a former principal, if things aren't working in the cafeteria, that's not good. Because the one thing the kids look forward to is lunch every day, and they are ready to eat. So thank you for looking into this, Dr. Moore and Mr. Green.
Yeah, I'd just like to say, it's sad that you had to come to the board for that, when you're saying this has been years that it's going on. No, that's not good. So I'm sure he will get to the bottom of why it took years and you coming to the board and being on camera for that to happen. So thank you for doing that. I understand why a person that's retired would come and do that, but somebody else doesn't need to feel like they shouldn't have to be able to do that. They can do that if they want. Okay? Thank you. All right. Did you want to speak, Dr. Pasca? Okay. All right, so, moving on. We're going to ask for the approval of consent agenda items as amended. Call for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Make a motion. I'll second.
Okay, sorry. Who said it? You both said it at the same time?
I'll give it to Dr. Paz.
Okay. And Ms. Rosario for a second?
Yeah.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, that passes. Thank you. So items pulled from consent to action. We have one. It is 6A from Ms. Rosario.
So thank you, board members. I just thought that this was an item, we talked about it earlier during the day. It's certainly an item that affected the community in terms of the history, so I just thought it would be appropriate for us to pull it so that we can just make it clear once again for those parents and community members who didn't see the workshop this morning. Last year, we had the same exact item that came to us. The board approved for an increase in the fee schedule for the summer camp and before and after school schedule, and apparently it was way too much, and so community members reached out to us. Then parents actually reached out and said it's way too costly, and they needed time to prepare for the increases, and so all of those concerns were brought to the superintendent and to cabinet, and other board members received the same concerns. I am grateful for the board to support the recommendation from the cabinet at that time, from the superintendent, so that we could put a pause on last year's increase, which means that we have not had an increase in 2 years. At this point, it's appropriate for us to be able to ask, for you all to be able to ask for this increase. I'm going to be happy to support it. It's just a $5 increase, so this $5 increase will be, I'll actually ask for Ms. Besora to kind of talk a little bit about it, but I think that at this point, it is just an item that we ought to allow the community some input on.
Dr. Moore, you okay?
Ms. Becerra, there you go.
Through the chair, thank you, Ms. Rosario, for bringing this to light. Yes, we are requesting a $5 increase for the program, the extended day program. This is a program that is really a benefit and a convenience to our families. If they were to have to go outside of the school where their children attend to provide morning care and aftercare, the average rate across our system in our county is about $91. So we're asking for a $5 rate increase that would take the morning care and the aftercare program up to $70 per week from $65 if they did morning and afternoon. We also surveyed our surrounding counties and neighboring counties who offer this. Not everyone does offer this as a convenience to their families. Some do not offer morning care, only afternoon care, and we are at or below all of those costs as well. So we're trying to be very cost efficient and effective for our families while still supporting them and their students.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Anyone else like to speak to that? Okay. So I'm going to call for a motion for item 6A.
I make a motion.
Second?
Ms. Rosario with the first, Dr. Jones with the second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? It passes 5-0. All right, we are to our action agenda. We have one item on our action agenda item. Okay, but it is a long one. We have several revisions to school board policies. There are several policies that we had to update or change. These are result of April 2024 release of revisions to the Uniform Grant Guidance Regulations and staff recommendations to align with all tobacco-free Florida policy components. Dr. Moore, would you like to tee up this item?
Yes, Madam Chair. We will present the item the same way we did this morning for the benefit of our community. As a reminder, we did pull one item in between workshop and today. That was the item that Ms. Envol presented, so we're going to respectfully skip you.
The number on that item?
It was the first one.
Okay.
So I believe was it Mr. Green that goes first following that item? Ms. Christofoli.
Chair, there are two policies. These are both in reference, as you stated, to the tobacco-free environments. One, it covers student code and conduct, matching the language in the policy. Instead of just a blanket statement that the code of conduct will be followed, it actually lays out what the discipline is for students that violate the policy, and we have changed and updated next year's code of conduct to match that language. The other is for visitors, same thing. There will be, instead of it just saying that it will be addressed, it actually lays out that they will be given a warning to follow the policy of no tobacco or vaping on school property, and then if they do not follow that, it gives the principal or supervisor the opportunity to decide what would happen after that. Any questions?
The vast majority of the policies are around the EDGAR or Education Department guidance and regulations, which is Title II of the Federal Code of Regulations. And as they have made some federal changes to how grants are managed and handled, those changes have affected a variety of policies. So as you can imagine, when you're awarded a grant, you have how do you accept the funds, how do you do the bids to buy the equipment that you're going to use the funds for, how do you do proper property records. So the items, the board policies under my area are all regarding that section, and they are updates to conflict of interest, adding school board members and specifically listed as agents and officers of the board, talking about things such as fraud, whistleblower protections, and ensuring that we are reporting, mandatory reporters for any waste, fraud, or abuse of federal dollars that we might receive through those grants, internal controls on how we manage the grants, also cash management, so how we handle the interest income, how we report that on our books, the cost principles, the procedures for procurement, travel and expenses, the disposition of any equipment and property that had been purchased with those federal dollars, and how we inventory those properties. So those revisions affect a lot of policies around how we manage everything we purchase and use and discard that have been bought with federal dollars through those grants.
And the last policy we have is 6671, which is District Foundation. We are recommending rescission of this policy, given that we had previously passed a policy in 2023 related to direct support organizations, and that's policy 9215.
That is the item, and we are setting it for public hearing.
Okay, so I'm going to call for a motion to approve the amended action item Agenda 9A and request for set public hearing date to adopt revision to the school board policies.
I make a motion.
Second.
I'm going to give that one to Mr. Dunn. Okay. All right, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? That passes 5-0. We are to discussion, and there are no discussion items. Let me double check. I think got added now. And we are now to school board member matters. Who would like to go first?
I'll go.
Okay, Ms. Rosario?
I just wanted to recognize the Golden Impact Awards. They really were incredible. The stories, the testimonies, and all of the people in our community who really get together and put kids first in different aspects is really very admirable. I will say that regarding the National Superintendent of the Year, I came here to the district office and there were so many people here. It was, well, yes, exactly, because we were so excited and we were trying to listen and pay attention, then all of a sudden it was over. And it was like, okay, well, that was pretty uneventful and disappointing. So in our eyes, Dr. Moore, you are certainly the National Superintendent of the Year. I can't imagine Alabama being better than Florida, sorry, gotta say it. I do appreciate all of the work and all of the effort, and I'm glad that you were recognized. I don't know if you'll have a second chance at this again, if we will have a second chance at this again, but if we do, I'm hopeful that you will be the official National Superintendent of the Year. Oh, and happy spring break, everybody, because I know that's coming up next week.
Okay, Dr. Pasca?
Sure. I'll just, I want to talk a little bit, since this is kind of tobacco-free month, I wanted to talk a little bit about that. And most people don't realize that any ingestion of nicotine, whether it's in a cigarette or a pouch or a tablet which contains nicotine without tobacco, so however you're getting the nicotine, that nicotine has cardiovascular effects of raising blood pressure and causing salt retention. And over time, that leads to plaque buildup and it increases your cardiovascular risk of stroke and heart attack. So any kind of nicotine, they may say, like, oh, this is super clean, it has nothing else in it but nicotine, but it's still a risk. Additionally, the nicotine consumption, there is independent risk of different cancers. So when you get nicotine, it goes into your blood, it circulates, and it basically bathes your whole body. It reduces blood flow to the GI tract, and it predisposes to ulceration of the stomach and small bowel. It increases motility of the colon, causes flushing and vasodilation as well. But these effects are going to be present whatever kind of product of nicotine you're using. And then, additionally, the cancer risk is there because it's absorbed into the blood and it's circulating around and bathing your organs. So your pancreas is getting nicotine, your urothelial cells in your ureter and your bladder and your urethra are getting nicotine, so they are all being bathed in it and getting predisposed to developing cancer. And so that's one issue, is the nicotine itself. But when you go and you start using things like vape pens or cigarettes and other things, there's now a bunch of other toxic chemicals in the product you're inhaling or ingesting. And some of these products, you probably heard of vapor's lung. Kids in their teens and early 20s were dying of vapor's lung, going on ventilators. It's because there's additives in the vape pens that they may not even have on the label or anybody knows about. It's a part of the manufacturing process. And yeah, we found heavy metals in a bunch of these vape pens that were killing kids across the country. So there's all these additives in there which cause their own effects for lung disease and cancer risk. And then you go one step further, and obviously they're putting things other than nicotine in the vape pens. I think most people are aware of that. A lot of these vape pens have THC or potentially other illicit drugs. And just remember, if you're a minor and you're buying these, you don't know where they came from. And there are cases where people are buying vape pens they think is one thing and ends up being something else, or it was purposely laced with something like fentanyl, and people are dying of overdoses due to smoking what they think is a nicotine vape pen. Remember, you didn't go into a store and buy that. You bought it from somebody. You really have no idea what they put in there. And actually, it is extremely easy to go make your own vape pens. It's a big business in a lot of counties at the community level, and that's a lot of times what's sold in the schools are homemade vape pens, because they can buy the nicotine liquid and extremely cheap vape pens that are rechargeable and put it in themselves. And you really don't know what's in there. So, there's a lot of risk, and I take care of kids that, they're kids to me, but they're 18, they're 19, they're 20, in their early 20s who are either dying or have chronic drug-related illnesses. And nobody thinks when they pick up a vape pen that that's where their future is going to go, but there's a very good chance if you get addicted to one drug, you will continue to get addicted to more and more drugs. And nicotine is one of the most addictive drugs out there. So once you start using that, you will likely start using other drugs down the line. And it sounds silly because you've all heard it before, but it's a slippery slope. And you're slowly destroying your life. So just try to avoid ever taking part in it. And if you can, convince your friends to stop vaping, they're vaping, like, I'm not saying be mean to them, but like, you know, be nice and like try to get them to stop because you care about them and you want them to live a long, happy, healthy life with less anxiety, less stress. I mean, people feel good when they're on the vape pen, but they're more anxious majority of the day because of the rebound effects of the nicotine. So make smart decisions, make healthy decisions.
Hey, Madam Chair, just for all the students that are in the audience, he's a medical doctor, so I hope you're paying attention.
Literally.
All right, Dr. Jones,
Thank you,
which is
Dr.
not a
Posca.
medical doctor.
No, I'm
Go
not.
ahead.
Thank you, Dr. Posca. I think you should visit our schools, and we'll set up a schedule to talk.
Yeah. Dr. Moore, yes. What- We have a
And I'm so-
perfect.
They
that's a
don't want to
perfect-
hear me. They're already bored.
And thank you for all of our
True.
students, because you have a lot of influence on your friends. I brought this up at the workshop today, on February 21st. I saw a really great gathering with our Children's Service Advisory Council and the Golden Impact Awards, and our principals being awarded for graduation rate. And I really think this is a community that is a good template, a good pilot on how to make things work within our community. So congratulations. As Ms. Rosario said, those impact stories were heartfelt, and we are helping students with that. I attended an Indian River Cares meeting at Richardson Center, about 40 CEOs with just talking about, this was led by Environmental Learning Center, Barbara Ford, how the organizations get together and how we can help one another and what we can do to make sure that everyone knows what each person is doing and how we can work on that. Just on a personal note, I went to the state basketball finals this past Thursday. William Wilson and 3 other students from Sebastian River High School were in the Final Four. They all went to Sebastian River High School. William's dad, Billy, was the assistant principal there, and we named a gym at Sebastian River High School after him, and the track is named after Coach Wilson. They played Orlando Evans, and they played him well, but they're only a 3-year-old school, Tucoya Creek, and St. Johns County, and it was just so great seeing the class of '09 there represented for William. It was a wonderful experience. Parent meeting that we had at Gifford Middle that was presented. It was a low in numbers, but it was the first one. Again, part of what we're trying to do in our community. Very good speakers, very good interactions with the audience. I attended 2 of the breakout sessions, so I know we'll be doing that again. It was very, very good, Ms. Holden and Ms. Ainge, very good. I attended the Gift to Camp again at Dodgertown, and thank you to the ladies who talked about Vero Beach High School, and I want to continue to give credit to Carrie Wall for redesigning these media centers. We'll get you up to Sebastian River High School, but what you saw at lunchtime was just phenomenal. The kids coming in, the business entrepreneurship with Vero Bean, checking out the books, using their iPads to do their work. It was really a neat experience. They were going into the media center at lunchtime. That is not a norm, Dr. Moore, for the most part, but they're going in there now. They were crowded. Just stepped into the GYAC Health Fair a couple weeks ago. Just good, good news for the community and making sure that our adults and students know what is available within the community. And again, Dr. Moore was at that game Thursday, but I pushed on that link immediately, and it was done quickly. But congratulations, we're very proud of you, and thank you for representing Indian River County. Thank you.
Mr. Dyer.
Yes, in the last month or so, I've attended the Metropolitan Planning Organization meeting, which I am the representative from the school board, discuss the top projects in the county for roads, and it's just done so if there's anything that's going to impact, I guess, the school transportation and bus routes that we're filled in. I will tell you that I learned that the average road project has about 13 years from beginning to end. So if you miss something in this meeting, we'll catch it in the next one, or over the next 4 or 5 years. So that was moves a little slower than I thought. Also participated in, as Dr. Moore had said in his presentation, the Education Fund Leadership Seminar, which is the first series, kind of the guinea pigs going through it. We talked about brand and culture from our experiences. I spoke along with Bill Penny, who's CEO of Marine Bank, and Matt of Northern Trust Bank here in town. And also, I wanted to talk about at the last board meeting, we did see briefly in the beginning awards presentation, we saw a brief film that talked about the public-private partnership between the Learning Alliance and the school board. And I can say that that really has made a difference here in Indian River County. Yes, we'd like our results to be better. I believe this year's reading results, Kelly, we're going for, Ms. Basura, we're going for 75%. We'll see if we make it. That's to be a big jump from 63% in third grade literacy. So I think that, again, we're on our way. I would like to say that that's a very unique thing, and what we're doing here in Indian River County and the progress that we've made over the last certainly 3 years has been nothing short of astounding in the state. I'd also like to add, which probably most people don't know, the Learning Alliance gives $2 million directly to the school district to be used for 22 full-time teaching positions and 4 part-time teaching positions. Additionally, they spend another $1 million in after-school programs that reaches 700, after-school and summer programs that reaches 700 students. So kudos to them, and I think the documentary that'll be coming out this summer will really highlight what's been going on here in Indian River County, and I think is really a terrific thing. The advancement that we've made under Dr. Moore and his team's leadership and the board's leadership, certainly even before I was here, long before I was here, we've had some really great things going on. I did ask Mr. Green to talk about the budget a little bit today for a couple of reasons. I wanted just people to understand the budget process in a government situation is much different than what I've seen many times before in private industry. And it is something that you don't make a budget, you can't control your revenue, and the state tells you what your revenue 6 months is after you've spent it. So what we have in the district is a $2 million deficit coming in from the third calculation based on our original budget, which we'll have to take a look at. It's really a very convoluted way to do it, but I can say that one of the things that's impacting the school district obviously are these scholarship programs that are now allowing kids to both homeschool, private school, and charter school. So I think that is making a dent in the revenue. I think about $15 million this year alone. I am all for competition. I think competition is great. It's going to make the school district better. And I really salute the school district for what they're doing to reinvent education and to really set us up for the future. So that's it. Thank you.
All right. I attended the Treasure Coast Council Local Governments meeting last Wednesday, and our guest speaker was the new sheriff for St. Lucie County, Richard Del Toro. He was quite impressive. He did speak about the accreditation of his office and also how they fund their SROs down there, which is a little different than how we do it here. I really like how we do it here. So I'd just like to say that. And a couple of items that were brought up were some of the legislative bills that are going before in Tallahassee that were of interest to all of our groups, which represents city, municipality groups, counties, and school boards for 4 different counties. And affordable housing was one of them. 184 and 247, 923 and 943 were bills that we're especially looking at for those. And then sovereign immunity, which we spoke about today, which if you don't know what that is, that means that there's a cap right now when somebody sues a school district, and then the taxpayers' funds get put into this funding, and then if we get sued, there's a cap on how much they can get from that case. This is opening it up. And so this is one to look at because this will cost taxpayers quite a bit for counties, cities, school districts, you name it. So that's kind of an interesting one to really look at. Also, they have a P1 motorsports thing that's starting in St. Lucie County, so anybody's into that, that's happening down there. I went to zoning and planning. Of course, I spoke a little bit about that last meeting about Quail opening up. Quail Valley is going to open up another really interesting little, not so little, facility that they're doing. But other than that, there are lots of construction around town. If you drive anywhere, you'll see the construction. So there were complaints from citizens about traffic. Well, I came from Houston, Texas a long time ago, and if you want to complain about traffic, go there, or Atlanta. So to me, yes, it takes a little longer to get across town, and there are more cars on the road, and I don't know, it seems like they're driving like they have to be in a hurry all the time, but that was kind of the biggest complaint. Congratulations to our finalist of National Superintendent of the Year. You have been a joy to work with, and I'm so glad I was part of being able to hire you to come to our school district. And I keep assuring people that you're not leaving anytime soon because you have so much more to do. You know, watch out St. John's because they're #1 in the state, and I know you're kind of gunning for them, so that will be good, and that's a reason to stay. Like to say the media centers are so nice. I've walked into both of them recently a couple of times, and to walk in at lunchtime and watch the kids use that facility for a grown-up lunch is kind of neat. It's like being on a college campus and watching the kids really have lunch but have meaningful conversation and still talk about school, because I did listen in on a couple of conversations just to make sure it was like, okay, they're really in tune with what they have to do when they're there. So that's really nice. And just a last comment, happy birthday to my husband. Oh. All right. It's not home because he's in Tallahassee. All right.
How old did he turn?
How old is he?
Yeah.
He's old enough. All right.
My wife turned 38 this week.
Oh, he's a little older. Okay. I have a child almost that age. Superintendent's closing.
No real remarks, just completely humbled. The last several months have been extremely overwhelming to me, and as I reflect back where this system is it is not because of one person at all. It's because of everyone coming together and doing this work. You okay?
God bless you.
Bless you. It really is. So I've always been the transformation guy or the fix-em guy. The growth of this system is something I just extremely proud of. And yeah, we have some very specific goals for our outcomes this year. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And with that, I'm going to call this meeting to an end at 7:07.